let's be real, hero introductions are supposed to slap. It sets the stakes for the movie and shows us how the hero himself is scrappy, flawed, and deeply human.
Remember who you are.
No! It makes us relate to him, and in that moment, we start rooting for him from the start. That's the golden rule of storytelling, especially in animation. If we're not emotionally invested from the beginning, we're not following a hero, we're watching a mascot. And yet, somehow, animated movies still mess this up. Instead of giving us a reason to care, they throw us a character with no personality, no stakes, and no reason to like them. And if we don't care from the start, why would we stick around? Take Buzz Lightyear in the 2022 movie. From the jump, Buzz isn't introduced like a hero. He's introduced like the worst kind of coworker, the guy who thinks you are the problem. He's not brave, not funny, and not even likable. He's an overconfident space ranger, so allergic to help, he crashes a spaceship trying to solo a routine mission. In the first minutes, Buzz manages to insult a young crew member whose only crime is being new.
Which is why I brought the rookie.
Hello?
No.
He refuses to learn the guy's name, Feathering Hamstan. Okay, it's a mouthful, but still.
Look, feather.
It's Feathering Hamstan, sir.
Look, rookie.
And then, when things go south, because of course they do, Buzz ignores help, even when the rookie could have easily helped.
You need my help?
Negative.
In the end, he tanks the mission and strands everyone on a hostile planet. Now, compare that to Iron Man. Tony Stark also starts as arrogant, but when he's kidnapped and builds the first suit in a cave, we immediately see wit, ingenuity, and a spark of growth. He even accepts the help of a stranger. Now, that's how you introduce a hero. But with Buzz, there's no emotional or even intellectual spark, just static. You're Pixar, you're Disney. You invented empathy through rats and robots. And this is your idea of a hero? But it gets worse because instead of showing humility after ruining everything, Buzz rage quits. Yup, he tells his commander he's done being a space ranger.
Commander Hawthorne, I hereby relieve myself of all Space Ranger duties. This was my fault, and these people deserve better.
Which sounds noble until his real motivation kicks in. He wants to redeem himself solo. This isn't accountability. It's ego dressed up in a spacesuit massage by your commanding officer. Then comes the movie's big swing, the character arc. On paper, it's textbook. Flaw, challenge, growth, redemption. But on screen, it plays like someone speed ran the Pixar formula without checking if the ingredients were even there. Buzz keeps failing the same hyperspace test again and again, jumping years into the future each time, watching friends grow old and die, and never once stopping to reflect on any of it.
I don't know when it happened, but I seem to have gone and gotten very old.
Dude watches his best friend age into dust, and his takeaway is, nah, I got this, just one more jump. And if you think this is where he starts learning, think again, because after finally cracking the hyperspeed code, thanks to Socks, an iconic robot who honestly deserves his movie, Buzz rockets back down to the planet expecting a hero's welcome, only to find decades have passed, and Alicia's granddaughter, Izzy, is now a Space Ranger trainee. Alongside Izzy are her ragtag team of misfits, Mo Morrison, the clumsy guy who annoyed the shit out of me, and Darby Steele, an elderly ex-con with a love for explosives. This is his second chance, time to connect, to trust, to grow. But what does he do?
So this is just goodbye?
Affirmative. Goodbye.
He ditches them exactly like he ditched Feathering Hamstan. It's not character development, it's copy-paste condescension. But here's the kicker, he even says he used to be a terrible rookie himself.
When I first went to the academy, I was not, good.
So what's the excuse now? Where's the empathy? Where's the arc? It's like the movie remembers there should be a lesson, then forgets to teach it. Compare that to How to Train Your Dragon. Hiccup is dismissed as weak and clumsy, but when he meets Toothless, he chooses empathy over pride. And from there, everything he does reflects that growth. Buzz, on the other hand, still thinks teamwork is a suggestion. But then comes the twist. Zurg, the villain, just future Buzz who wants to time travel and fix everything his way.
You look good, Buzz.
Which honestly makes more sense for current Buzz than future Buzz, because if Buzz had said, you know what, let's do it, let's undo my failures, that would make sense. But instead, he suddenly grows a moral backbone, rejects the plan, and says,
You and me, we're not the same.
Excuse me? When did this guy develop ethics? Right after insulting 3 rookies and ignoring his dead friend's granddaughter? It's not an arc, it's a cutscene pretending to be one. And that's the core problem with Lightyear. It keeps telling us Buzz is a legend, but it never shows us why. He barely makes sacrifices, doesn't change, and doesn't earn the trust of his team. They just sort of give it to him because the script says so.
We got you.
He's not a hero, and his entire intro makes you root against him, which is insane because this is the same studio that made us cry over a silent trash compactor.
Sorry.
But here's the scary part, this wasn't even Disney's only worst intro because a year before Lightyear, they terribly introduced another hero. Let's talk about Strange World, a movie so forgotten that even Disney probably doesn't remember releasing it. And at the center of that beige-colored memory fog is our protagonist, Searcher Clade. Who? Exactly. Now, technically, Searcher gets 2 introductions. We first meet him as a literal baby in a retro pulpy flashback.
And who's this by his side? None other than his bouncing baby boy.
This intro tells us Searcher is important before we've even seen anything that makes him so. This is a classic case of mistaking style for substance. Yes, the visuals are slick, but what do we learn about Searcher? Nothing. He's a prop in his dad's origin story.
Together, these two are destined to finally find a route through these impassable peaks.
Searcher is not a character. He's a legacy name tag, which wouldn't have been horrible if done correctly. I mean, take the 1995 Lion King, for example. Simba's introduction first happens during the iconic Circle of Life sequence. We don't meet Simba the character until a few minutes in. He's literally just a baby being held up like a Macy's Thanksgiving Day balloon, while the soundtrack does all the emotional heavy lifting. So, if we're being precise, his introduction is symbolic, not personal. We feel the weight of legacy and awe, but we don't know Simba yet. That said, his character really kicks in later when he wakes up Mufasa at the crack of dawn and yells,
Dad! Come on, Dad, we gotta go! Wake up!
That's the moment we get to see the actual kid. Curious, entitled, adventurous. That's the real introduction to him as a person, not just as a future king. Strange World failed at this with Searcher Clade even when his second introduction came. 25 years later, we meet an adult Searcher, a farmer, a husband, a dad, and the man who discovered a plant Pando when he was a kid during an exploration with his dad, Jaeger Clade. Whoa. The adult introduction gives us a resume, not a personality. Good character intros show desire, conflict, and contradiction. Take Wall-E, for example. In the first 5 minutes, Wall-E is cleaning up Earth, representing his goal. He's watching Hello Dolly and longing for connection, which represents desire. not to mention the emotional roller coaster we are thrown into when Eva enters the mix. All this without a single line of dialogue, reminding us again that it's better to show, not tell. But as for Searcher, his goals and desires are not really clear, and why the heck is he still named Searcher if he doesn't search anything? Settler Clade would have been more fitting, no?
Call me Searcher.
We learn Searcher turned his back on adventuring after finding Pando, a choice that created a rift between him and his explorer father, Jaeger.
You can't survive out there alone.
Dad, stop!
This is all backstory. There's no drama in the present moment. Remember that conflict isn't compelling unless it's active. Take Moana. Her father doesn't want her to explore.
No one goes beyond the reef.
But we see her sneak off to the shore. We see her try to leave. We understand her conflict because it's baked into her every choice. With Searcher, the conflict is past tense. His dad disappeared years ago. His goal is like he is saying, please don't involve me. Imagine if Simba's arc in The Lion King ended at Hakuna Matata. That's Searcher. But let's see if he can be redeemed when the Pando crop starts dying. This should be his call to adventure. Instead, he dares to have second thoughts.
You and I, we have an obligation to save it.
My God, you're supposed to be the hero in an adventure movie. The call to adventure only works when the character has stakes. In Up, Carl ties his house to balloons because it's his last shot at fulfilling a promise. In Ratatouille, Remy risks everything to cook. In How to Train Your Dragon, Hiccup breaks Viking code to save a dragon.
Oh, no, please, just don't hurt him. Please don't hurt him.
In each case, the hero makes a choice that reveals who they are. Searcher? He says yes because the plot needs him to. He doesn't chase the adventure kidnaps him.
I could drop you off.
Wait, seriously?
There's no dramatic hook, not even a dash of personality spice to make him stand out. Control is what you get when you Control-C every dad trying to break the cycle character and Control-V him into a film without adding seasoning. Not this seasoning. This. And maybe that's why audiences didn't connect with him. He wasn't a character, he was a placeholder. He existed to contrast his adventurous dad.
I am nothing like you.
And pressure his adventurous son.
Dad! I will not risk your life. Not now, not ever.
Once the journey begins, the contrast becomes glaring. Jaeger Clade is a loud, bombastic explorer with big energy. Ethan Clade is curious, idealistic, and emotionally engaged.
Ow!
The dog wants to...
It's not enough.
This is disgusting.
I have no idea what it wants. But Searcher isn't driving the story. He's reacting to it. This is the most fatal flaw in a protagonist's intro. Passivity. You can't make your hero weak, scared, and flawed, but they must still act. Look at Hiccup again. He's physically weak, but he's constantly pushing against his world, his family, his expectations. We admire him because he struggles. Searcher doesn't struggle, and his arc is flat because his intro is flavorless. He's not the hero, but the buffer zone between the two real characters. What makes this worse is that Strange World is trying so hard to tell a generational story. The whole film is essentially a metaphor for climate change, legacy, and breaking cycles of toxic masculinity.
Are you trying to brainwash my son? Will you trust me? You do not want to be like him.
Great themes, important messages, but instead of letting the characters embody these ideas naturally, the movie assigns them like homework. In short, Searcher Clade didn't just fail to make us care, he barely made us notice. But that doesn't even come close to losing your entire audience in the first 60 seconds. which the next movie managed to do.
I know what you're thinking. A lone rider, a dystopian world.
No, that's not what I'm thinking. I am thinking, how do I get whatever you're riding on, cause that shit looks so cool. Seriously though, Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon could have been a cultural landmark. It had stunning animation, a mythical Southeast Asian-inspired world, and a dragon with millennial stand-up comic energy. But then it introduced us to Raya and somehow made the heroine of a fantasy epic feel like the least interesting part of it. The film opens with a cloaked Raya riding her adorable giant armadillo named Tuk Tuk through a wasteland like she's auditioning for Mad Max Fury Road, the animated series.
I know what you're thinking.
It's gritty, stylish, and cool, but emotionally ice cold. She's not doing anything with stakes. She's just walking us through a post-apocalyptic travel vlog while narrating world history like she's doing a voiceover for Avatar: The Last Lone Rider.
Well, that all began 500 years ago. Kumandra.
We're told the world is broken. We're told the dragons are gone. We're told Raya has been through a lot. But the golden rule of storytelling is show, don't tell. And Raya's intro straight up fails that class. The film keeps her at arm's length, placing her more as a tour guide than a protagonist with a pulse. In contrast, Miguel's intro in Coco does a better job. He opens with a fast-paced family history, yes, but then we see his world, his passion for music, and how badly he wants to belong somewhere.
No music!
We watch him try, fail, sneak, dream, all in the first few minutes. By the time he strums that guitar, we're already rooting for him harder than his dead ancestors. Even Moana, a film often lumped into the same empowered Disney princess category, does a fantastic job. Moana's intro is an emotional 1-2 punch. She saves a baby turtle.
Shoot! Shoot!
She enjoys folklore, no matter how scary it may be. She longs for the ocean, but is forbidden from going near it.
Run right back to the water!
Boom! Hero established. She's brave, she's curious, she's still flawed, and most of all, she wants something beautiful we can relate with. What does Raya want? We don't know. We're too busy being told what the world used to be.
But that's not how the world broke. That didn't truly happen until 500 years later.
Her actual trauma, the betrayal by Namaari, the shattering of the dragon gem, and the downfall of her people, isn't even shown up front. That crucial moment, the one that defines her worldview, her trust issues, her whole lone wolf persona, it's buried in a flashback.
Thank you, Debla. You've been very helpful.
That's like Up hiding Ellie's death until the halfway point, or The Lion King starting with adult Simba eating bugs in the jungle and going, "So, my dad died, that kinda sucked." Emotionally, we're shut out from her pain, and that distance makes it harder to connect in the first important minutes. Think of Aladdin's intro. He steals food, escapes the guards with a swagger and a smile,
Don't appreciate I'm pro.
Riff-raff! Straight rat!
and gives it away to hungry kids.
Here. Go on, take it.
In a few minutes, we know he's scrappy, generous, and clever. We like him. Now compare that to Raya, cloaked, brooding, expositioning. She's not a character yet, but an aesthetic. The movie makes the same mistake as Lightyear and Strange World. It starts with lore, not life. It tells us about the stakes, but not the person. It shows us style, but hides the substance. Each of these characters arrives with a bullet point bio shoved into our faces. Buzz is a legend. Searcher is a pioneer. Raya was betrayed. Cool, now prove it. Great character intros aren't about who the person was, they're about who the person is, right now, in a moment we can watch, feel, and root for. What if we opened with young Raya playing with Namaari and bonding over their love of dragons, showing, not telling us, their growing friendship, and then boom, betrayal. Imagine feeling that heartbreak with her in real time. Then cut to older, hardened Raya, riding Tuk Tuk through the ashes of that trust. Now, that is how you introduce a warrior, not just as cool, but as someone who bled for it. Something that makes us go, oh, I get this person, I feel this person, I'm with them. Simple. Now, botching a hero's intro is bad, but ruining an entire series, that takes a special kind of narrative sabotage. If you want to see how DreamWorks managed to do just that, then click here to find out how to ruin a series.